almost last. Who do you want as your president? Okay. Who? So here's what happens. So in Washington, you have lobbyists, and they have, emblazoned on their forehead, like Mike Tyson, who also endorsed me, Iron Mike. I love Iron Mike. What's the greatest expression ever? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. That was Mike Tyson. How are you going to fight Mike? Well, I'm going to weave and I'm going to bob. And he said, that's true. They're going to weave and the bob until they get punched, and then all of a sudden, they're not weaving and they're not bobbing. It's one of the great expressions. Actually, Mike Tyson did endorse me, and I like that endorsement. I think it's great. I like that endorsement. But here's the story. So, emblazoned on their forehead, it says Rubio, or it says Lion Ted, or it says something, right? It's right there, grained like it was from a steer. Boom, forehead, Rubio. These are lobbyists. These are guys that raise money for them, lots of money. So when you want to get Rubio, you hire a certain guy. They're guys. I mean, there are probably 5 of them, 10 of them, 15 of them, 1 of them. But you pay him a lot of money, he'll get you. So here's what happens. They will call the Rubio guy, they'll call this one, they'll call Kasich's guy, and 100% nothing will happen. With me, I'm not taking any of their money. I couldn't care less. I know half of them anyway, but I don't want to. You know who I'm working for? I'm working for you. For you. I'm working for you. That's who I'm working for. I'm not doing that. Believe me, I didn't need this. I like Mar-a-Lago. I don't see Mar-a-Lago anymore. I don't see anything anymore. I'm going around all over the place. This is not the easiest thing to do. And I could have had a nice, soft life, and instead I'm doing this, but I'm doing it because I want to put back. Because I want to put back. No, I want to put back. And I built a wonderful business. My kids will run it. I have great executives. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't even talk about it. It's so insignificant compared to what we're talking about. And the numbers I filed are phenomenal, which is telling you take a look at federal elections, very little debt, tremendous, some of the great assets of the world, unbelievable company, tremendous cash flow. I don't care. And the reason I mention that is that's the kind of thinking we now need in this country, because we have people that don't know what they're doing. We have people don't know what. It's the largest financial statement ever filed with the federal elections. And boy, those reporters, they were down. When I filed that, they were down there. You know why you never heard about it? Because it's so good. If that was a little bit off, a friend of mine, a very rich friend, said, now I know you're rich, because you would have never run unless you were loaded, because they would have shot you down. All right. So here's the story. The Mexico, all of them. What's going to happen is Carrier's going to call, and he's going to try, and it's not going to work with me. Going to work with the others, not going to work with me. I'll get a call. 24 hours, head of Carrier. Mr. President, we've decided we are not leaving the United States. Thank you, sir. That's what's going to happen. 100%. 100%. Now, I'll be criticized by conservatives. Remember Jeb Bush used to go, he is not a conservative. He is not a conservative. I'm a conservative, but like I'm a smart person. We're getting ripped. Our country's we're losing all our jobs. We're losing all our businesses. We're not letting it happen anymore, folks. Okay? We're not going to let it happen. So here's the story. So just like that, same thing with Ford. Ford is spending $2.5 billion on an auto plant. They're closing up in Ohio, a big plant. They're closing up in other places. But I was just in Ohio. I was in Cleveland. And they said, oh, this is terrible. So many companies are leaving the area. They're leaving Ohio. Where are they going? Let me guess, they're going to Mexico. Now, they go other places, but a lot of it's Mexico. Mexico is the new China, smaller version, okay? Mexico is taking our businesses, folks, and we don't even know what's happening. So they're killing us on the border, and they're taking our businesses. Not going to happen anymore, okay? Okay, let's have some questions. Few questions. Give me a nice one. A nice, good. Give me a nice question. Go ahead. This guy, good-looking kid. Go ahead. Speak up.
Sorry about that. I'm 18 years old. Wow. I work at Salt Life in St. Augustine. I live on my own. I'm a very hardworking student. I'm still in high school. My question's on the border. A lot of Americans are lazy, and a lot of Americans do not want to work. That is an issue that we do have in this issue that we do have in this country, which is prolonging where we have foreigners coming in and, taking over our jobs. Who's going to build the border? We have Americans that don't want to.
No, we have Americans. I'll tell you, honestly, I'll tell you what. No, it's not that Americans don't want to work. They're not given the incentive. They want to work and they want to make money and they want to be successful. We're going to let them do that. We're going to let them do that. You know, one of the reasons everyone says, oh, Trump with the Mexicans. The Mexicans love me. Yesterday, I made a speech, and there were a lot of Hispanics in the audience. I say, do the Hispanics love me? They went crazy. In fact, I brought one of them up stage. He said, legals love Trump. The legals. Because the illegals come in, they take away their houses, they take away their jobs. No. You're right about part of your question, but here's the story. People do want to work, but they want to work and they want to make a lot of money. They want to be rich. They want to buy a nicer house. They want to take care of their family with health care. They want to take care of education for their kids. You watch. And that wall will go up like magic. You know, in Washington, from the Obama administration, one of the most, I think the hottest piece of property, GSA, you know, the government services, right? The GSA had put up for sale the old post office on Pennsylvania Avenue, one of the great buildings of this country. And everybody bid. I hear they had over 100 bids, but they broke it down to 10. And they only wanted the 10 most financially strong, because I want to make sure it gets done, not that it's half done and it stays there for the next 20 years. And I was brought into the final four, and then ultimately I got it. And we're building a magnificent hotel. We're 1.5 years ahead of schedule and way under budget, even though I've upped the hotel a lot. All marble, I mean, it's the best. People are so excited. People want to work. We have unbelievable workers. And by the way, then the Washington Post went over, and they said, oh, do we have illegals working the hotel? Believe me, I go E-Verify, I do it. And they see people coming out, and they look like workers. I don't have a comment. Oh, you must be illegal. You have no idea. They did a story about me, and I am so careful with all my stuff, but I am so careful with that building sitting on Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, we're going to be opening in September of this year. It was supposed to open actually in September of 2 years from now. So we're really 2 years ahead. I don't even like to say that I'm 2 years ahead of schedule. I am actually 2 years ahead. I don't like to say it. You know why? You know why? Because it doesn't sound believable. It's 2 years ahead of schedule. It's going to open up September of this year. It was supposed to open up 2 years from then. But let me tell you, I like to say now a year, because a year is sort of more believable, even though the fact is that here's the story. Under budget, higher quality than I was going to build, under budget, ahead of schedule. Wouldn't it be great if we could rebuild our infrastructure under budget and ahead of schedule? We can do it. We can do it. But I know how to build. The best thing I do, and the thing I know better than anybody, and you can ask the construction guys in New York, what I know better than anybody is building. But the incentive, they will love it. They're going to love it. But they got to go out and they got to really knock it. And they're going to have incentive. And you're an ambitious guy, right? You're going to go out there. You're going to become rich. You're going to be so much richer than Trump. You're going to look at me. You're going to say, that guy was nothing 25 years ago. Good luck, okay? Yeah, go ahead.
I have a Second Amendment question. Right now, the ATF in this country is taxing firearm enthusiasts for things that haven't ever been proven to make anyone safe. We pay $200 tax stamps for suppressors. We pay $200 tax stamps for SBRs. These things have never been found to hurt anyone, and it's so far the only kind of people who actually get them and are willing to pay the tax stamp use them legally for recreation. So are you going to do anything to stop that?
Well, I'll tell you what, in terms of Second Amendment, you're going to be so protected like you've never been protected before. You know, that's a form of suppression, right? That's really a form of suppression. You know, I tell the story. So in Paris, and a lot of things changed. When I went, I was talking about trade. When I announced on June 16th, I was talking about trade, and I was talking pretty much about the border. And those two things, I was very, very strong, and I shot to the top, and I've been really at the top right from the beginning. You know, from the top, I've been right. If CNN came out with a poll last week, Trump 49, second is 15. That's a good poll. I mean, it could be wrong. That could be a lot wrong, and I'm still happy. But I've been right from the beginning. I'll tell you something. We have, when we all get together and when we start using our heads, everyone's going to be like this. We're going to do something, but that is a form of absolute suppression. What's happening is when Paris happened, I came down on the escalator with Melania, made the speech, and it was about two subjects. Then you had Paris, and you had 130 people brutally killed, And Paris, as you probably have heard, has the toughest gun laws in the world. You can't have a gun. Only the bad guys can walk around with guns because nobody checks them. So Paris and France has the toughest gun laws in the world. Impossible, you can't get them. So what happens is, here's their gun law. They walk in, they kill 130 people. They go bang, bang, bang. You get over here, bang. Wasn't one gun in the room except for the ones they had. And then the press called him a mastermind. I said, never call him a mastermind again. And they've stopped, actually. I was going brutal on the press because they call him. And then they wonder why our kids want to join ISIS because they hear the word mastermind. He's a dirty, rotten, filthy thug with a disgusting cap. So what I say about Second Amendment is this, okay? And you could say the same thing for California with the 14 great people that were killed. There were no bullets going in the opposite direction. If Todd Palin were in that room, frankly, if Sarah Palin were in the room, it would have been, forget about Todd, especially now. If Sarah Palin were in that room, but if somebody were in that room that had a gun of some kind attached to the hip, attached to the ankle, where bullets could fly in the opposite direction, you wouldn't have had this. You would have had something maybe. It's also possible you wouldn't have even had the attack because they would have said, we're not going to attack if we're going to get shot at. They thought they could get away with it. And believe me, they do want to get away with it. You know, they say they don't mind dying. They mind dying, okay? So if people would have been on the other sides with the bullets going in the opposite direction, you wouldn't have had this. So just remember what I said. We are going to protect our Second Amendment. Do you understand that? Okay, go ahead.
Bob Meyer from Lutz, Florida.
Hello, Bob.
Vietnam veteran, retired cop. And you and I went to the same school.
Oh, good. That's a good school.
My question to you, sir, is thank you for funding your campaign, by the way, but
Thank you.
also in creating jobs, that's going to increase our gross domestic product, GDP.
Which right now is flat. It's zero. Hard to believe. It's practically zero, which is hard. You know, if China's goes down to 7 or 8%, it's like a catastrophe. Ours is zero. Go ahead, Bob.
Please also explain to the folks how that also reduces our debt.
Okay, I'll do that. Well, you mean if we get it up, it reduces our debt. When we get it, well, it just means we have a vibrant economy. Right now we have a dead economy. It's totally dead. It's bigger than it was, and yet we have GDP, which is even for the last 2 quarters, essentially even. And we can't have that. And speaking of Vietnam, you know I was very much responsible for building the Vietnam Memorial in downtown Manhattan, so I'm very proud. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting. I've done a lot of things over my life. But almost more than any of the things I've done in terms of that kind of stuff, most people have forgotten I did it and all, and that's fine. But the one thing is, when I'm walking along or when I'm in a group of people, I get more thanks for the Vietnam Memorial than any other thing. Those guys in Vietnam thank me all the time. And mostly, if I do things for other groups or whatever it might be, it's like, you know, what have you done for me lately? The guys like Bob, the guys that were in Vietnam, there's something special about them. They thank me so much for the Vietnam Memorial. So I just want to tell you that. Okay, go ahead. Right here. Good.
Yes, Mr. Trump, first off, I'm with Team Florida, and I want to be the first to congratulate you on winning Florida by a landslide.
Well, we hope. We hope.
My question, Mr. Trump, to you is, after you win Ohio also by a landslide, what's next?
I hope I win Ohio. You know, the beauty would be if we win Florida and we win Ohio, we can go and attack Hillary. No more attacking each other. Because, you know, and I really appreciate your question / statement. I even like the statement. But if we win Ohio and if we win Florida, then everybody agrees, every one of these guys, that it's pretty much over. And then I can focus on Hillary because that's what I really want to focus on. The Republican Party has to come together. You know, if we don't win, or, I mean, you have some of these people, they're angry people because they're not used to this. One of the reasons they don't like me running is because I don't want their money. And unless they give me money,